here we are.
Oh, goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gemini Archives.
Hi.
Hi. We're going to do something a little bit different here today. Because I asked Lauren if she was okay with me doing this. And I don't even know where to start, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, the day we're recording this, what's today? It's February 13th.
Mm-hmm.
So in exactly 1 week, it'll be 3 years since my boyfriend passed away. And I've mentioned it like here and there on the show, just very like briefly. I just said like, oh yeah, by the way, this is a thing that happened. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit more today. It might get a little real. It might get a little sad. We literally have a box of tissues here.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Because I'm probably going to start crying and like,
It's very hard to talk about,
yeah.
but you know what? We figured this would be like a good therapy. Put it out to the world,
you know.
Yeah. Well, the podcast in general is good therapy for us, you know.
Well, especially this situation.
Yeah.
It's harrowing.
Yeah, it's very, oh God. I don't even know where to begin, honestly. So, my boyfriend, his name was Chris, and he was in a band called Martyrvore that a lot of people... That's the band that he's most known for, I should say. He was in others. He was in Festered and another band, Scum Bitch, and Skeleton, things like that. And it's funny how we met because we didn't... I feel like I'd seen him for like years. I had seen him around at like shows and things like that. But we didn't formally meet, as in, like, he didn't add me on Facebook until, like, the end of 2014. And what prompted it was my friend Sean, who I mentioned on the show before. I owe him my life because, I guess, yeah, that's right. It was Sean's band, Witch King, and then Martyrvore were playing a show together with a bunch of other awesome bands near our area. And Sean invited me, you know, the invite on Facebook or whatever, the event.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay, yeah, it's close to me. I can go. And then I didn't end up going because I got the fucking flu.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
I remember that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I accepted the... I accepted the invite or whatever, and then Chris found me through there because it was kind of a small show. Not a lot of people went. And he added me, and then we started talking. And I remember he initiated everything, though. I was very much like, at that point in my life, I had so many, like, dudes just like, you know, we've both been there. Mm-hmm. So many dudes just, like, talking, like, hitting on you because you're single and you're like, ugh.
And they were so fucky. Like,
yeah.
Like the worst.
They are the worst. And it's like, all right. Or they'll just say things like, oh, you're so pretty, like my band, and, like, never talk to you again.
Oh, it's like, oh, I'll take you out, but do this for me too, you know?
Yeah, and it's
like, the fuck, you know?
So that's what we had been dealing with up until that point.
Yeah.
And, like, it was strange because when I talked to him, he treated me like a person. And that sounds a little wild when I say that, but I swear there are so many times in my life where I've talked to people and they've just seen me as a pair of tits, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just sad, you know? And he was so respectful to me. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know people could be like this. And the more we talk, the more I'm like, I don't know if I can live my life without this person now. You know, it was like, it slowly grew from, wow, he's really cool, to, oh, like, I really enjoy our friendship, to, I think I'm in love with this person. And even before we started dating, I was like, I just knew, you know? And it was January of 2015. I didn't end up going to the show, but the week after, we went on a date. Like, he came here, and then we started dating. And it was like, I don't think I'd ever been so happy in my whole life. Like, I felt like I was always smiling. Like, my face ached from smiling so much. And not just because he was making me laugh, because he was fucking funny. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, my boyfriend's so... No, he was fucking hilarious.
Oh, God.
You could vouch for that.
Yeah. So funny.
He just, I don't know, he had like comedic timing down, and it just...
And it's like the way he said things too, just like it hits you right in that spot.
Yeah. And it's not even just because like he, you know, he was from Plymouth, Mass. He had a Boston accent, I'll say it, you know, and it just... he just made me laugh, and it was like things... I felt like I was just like all the way up here. And for those of you that can't see, I'm raising my arm as high as it could possibly go.
Yeah. For those that you can't see, aka everyone who's listening.
Yeah. Sorry. So, and everyone, even his friends, my friend, like everyone noticed. Like we were just so happy, and I was like genuinely for the first time in my life, and he cared about me in ways that I never like had someone care about me before. And I didn't even know how to react, honestly. I'm like, I don't even know how to respond to this. I almost didn't believe it. Because it's like, your whole life you get told one thing, and then someone does something different, and you're like, what? Are you sure?
Yeah.
You know? But... And then I want to say about... So we started dating in January. And then I want to say about July of that year, 2015. He started getting these crazy headaches. And, like, there were just some weekends, like, he wouldn't come, like, we would usually see each other on the weekends because he worked during the week. And there were some weekends he wouldn't come here because he would just feel really sick. And I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, are you okay? And those of them that knew him personally and, you know, not so personally knew that he was a big drinker. Well, he told me he had, you know, did a lot of drugs and things like that in the past. And, and I thought it was just because, like, because he was, when we started dating, he was 38. So I thought, I'm like, oh, it's just because he's getting older. Like, his body's, like, just slowing down and he can't, like, handle it anymore. And that's just what I thought. But yeah, the headaches would happen every so often, and I would just go into a panic because I'm like, this is not good, you know? And I knew he had some kind of circulatory problems because, well, I used to be a mortician. I know a lot about blood, you know, and blood circulation and stuff, and he would complain about his hands, like, hurting. And I'm like, he probably isn't getting blood to his hands very well. So I massaged his hand one day. It's like kind of... The area is like right between your thumb and your pointer finger. And you massage that, and it's supposed to help promote circulation. I'm like, did that feel better? He's like, oh yeah, that feels a lot better. And I'm like, that's what it is. So I knew he had health problems, but he and I were trying to, like, you know, work out and eat healthy, and like we were motivating each other to do it for a while, and just like, then we'd fall off, you know, and just be like, fuck it, we're just going to eat like 7,000 wings and, you know, drink all the beer. And it just...
Well, you did on the 4th of July. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So, and then his behavior kind of like... I don't know how to describe it. It kind of... He didn't seem like himself. He seemed really like not snippy, but just like not like as happy and upbeat as he normally was.
Like agitated, kind of?
Kind of, yeah. Like didn't really have the patience for things anymore. Yeah. And I'm like, what is up with him? And I tried to talk to him about it. He said everything was fine. And I said, all right, I'm not going to push it then. I'm like, if you're fine. And then it would be like fine, but then he'd get like kind of like agitated. And it's almost like, this is going to sound crazy, but it was almost like he knew it was going to happen. You know? Like he knew his time was coming. So, I don't know. I remember, so he passed away February 20th. 48 hours of pure terror for me, because February 18th, 2 days before he died, I get this call. I'm at an appointment. I can't really pick it up, but I do anyway, because I'm like, he doesn't call me during the day. I'm like, this is what's going on. So I pick it up, and he said, hey, if you don't, because he was supposed to go to band practice that night. He goes, hey, I can't. He's like, I'm feeling sick again, like the headaches or whatever. And he's like, I'll call you before I go to band practice. I'm going to try and nap this off. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, take some Excedrin. Just take it easy.
Mm-hmm.
And he would usually leave around like 5, 6. It's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, nothing. I'm like, where is he? I texted his bandmates, is he up there? And they're like, no, we haven't heard from him. So I panic, fucking blowing up his phone. Finally, around like close to 9, I get a call from him, and he was like, oh, I fucking fell into a coma. He's like, I feel like total dog shit. He's like, I can't. He's like, my ear is burning and my head is killing me. And
This is on the 18th?
yeah.
Okay.
And it was that night, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, did you want to go to a hospital? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I think I should, but I don't have anyone to bring me because his roommate was at work. So I was like, all right, well, I'm like, take something. I'm like, maybe it's just like a bug or something. It'll pass or whatever. And he's like, all right, because he went and threw up and then felt better, like most of us do when we're sick.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, oh, I feel better, so I think I'm good. I'm like, all right, well, go to bed. Text your bandmates are worried, so text them, let them know you're not going, and you'll see him next week. He's like, yeah, okay. He's like, I know, I'm going to probably get up and go to work tomorrow anyway. Which he didn't. He told me he did, but he didn't. Next day he woke up, texted me everything. He seemed fine. Said his ear was killing him and that he had ear problems in the past. But he's like, oh, I know how to deal with this. It's not unusual for me. So he told me he went to work, and then I found out he went to go meet someone to go get some heroin from them, and thinking that would help the pain. And I had no idea he was using it, you know? He lied to me about it. Or didn't even lie, just because he told me he had used drugs before. He just like kept it a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And because I never saw anything. I was with him. If he wasn't working, I was with him. And I never saw anything other than like weed, you know? And like, I remember he called me when he got home, and I was on the phone with him. And he, after a certain point, he just wasn't responding to me. And I'm like, Chris, like I'm yelling at him. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I'm like, can you tell me what day it is? Because now I'm thinking like he's just a little bit like woozy or something. And then the sound still fucking haunts me to this day. I heard him gasp like he was choking and then just fucking hit the floor. And I instantly, it's like my heart almost exploded because I got so scared. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, this isn't good. I remember you and my mom were sitting downstairs, and I'm like, we need to get an ambulance there. Chris just fucking hit the deck. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. And he had just moved, and I didn't know the new address yet for the new place. It's like everything worked against me to make sure like no one could get to him. And his roommate wasn't going to be home for another like 4 hours. So I fucking called everyone I could that I knew was in the area to do something. I called his boss. I blew up his roommate's like phone and all this shit. And like, everyone's like, okay, we'll check on him when he gets. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, this is bad. He probably needs an ambulance. And everyone's like, oh, he's probably just not feeling good. Don't worry about it. He probably just went to bed. And then he gets home, his roommate, and he's like, oh yeah, he's just in bed, like sleeping. So I think it's fine. I'll, wake him up and have him call you in the morning. And I'm like, okay. And it made me feel a little bit better, enough for me to kind of get some sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had this crazy dream. And I don't think it was a dream. And I was in my room. And Chris was in the driveway, and he like climbed in through my window and told me he had to go. And when I opened my eyes, it's like I blew up his phone trying to get in touch with him, and I went into like full panic mode. And I saw his roommate had like read my messages and stuff, but didn't reply. And I'm like, what is I'm like, there's got to be something wrong then, because he would have told me, oh, he's fine if he was fine. I woke up at like 9, around 1 p.m. I find out that through Facebook that he had passed away. And it's like, in like 2 seconds, my whole life just got fucking turned on its head, upside down. I got a call from the detective because he didn't have any like immediate family. I know. Oh God, it's starting. I can't.
Oh, I know.
I got a call from the detective, and they said there was fentanyl in his system, and there was they found the bag of the heroin and stuff, and I didn't even know what to think. I'm like, that you're lying. You planted it. That's bullshit. Like, I can't believe you. And then over time, I slowly learned that that's exactly what was going on and who was selling it to him and the fucking scumbags, you know, attached to that shit. And there I was, you know, I was just like, I can't believe it. It's like he didn't feel like he was gone. And I remember I went up to New Hampshire to their practice space that day, and that night, I should say, and I grabbed his guitar and I went and saw the guys in Martyrvore, and I don't know, it felt like phantom limb. Like a part of me was just like still there but missing. And my body like shut down. I don't think I got out of bed for like 6 months at one point after the numbness from grief wore off. And anyone that's like had like a significant loss in their life knows what I'm talking about, where like grief brain's kind of like drunk brain. And it helps you be numb enough so you can deal with the loss. But then after it wore off, it's like my whole body just like shut down. I ended up in the hospital. I mean, it was a whole thing.
Yeah, that was scary.
It was really scary. And I still can't make sense of it to this day. And it was a week after Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day's tomorrow. It's like life's cruel joke to me. You know? Like, here, we're going to give you this incredible, amazing person that is literally your soulmate, and we're going to take him away right before one of the most romantic holidays. It's just really sad, you know? I still get sad about it. I still miss him, and my heart just fucking aches all the time. Although now, to a lesser degree, I've learned to kind of like move forward and live with it, and you know, accept the loss. I've gone and gotten help, spiritual, therapeutic help. You know, went and saw a therapist and talked to a medium, things like that. And it makes me feel better. And it's weird how like a loss like that kind of like just changes it rewires your whole brain, and it makes you think in a way that you didn't even think was possible. And I just think about how, for lack of a better word, naive I was before. Mm-hmm. And now how more aware I am of things and people. And I had to get rid of a lot of people. There were people who I thought were my friends who didn't even bat an eyelash at me when this happened. And those people were not my friends.
There was a couple people who just didn't know how to handle it, but they were still supportive as they could be. But
yeah,
a lot of the people were just like, they did the same thing to me too. Yeah, honestly,
I know.
They're like, it's amazing the kind of people that just come into your life after something like that happens. Because there was people that came out who we hadn't talked to in a long time that were like, oh my gosh, I need to see you right now. Are you okay? Blah, blah, whatever.
Yeah. And I don't know if I think she listens to this. My friend Jess was one of them. We hadn't talked, and I want to say, like, how many years you think? 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
Because of we just needed, like, time to, like, just fucking work on ourselves or whatever. And, she was, like, one of the first people to message me. She didn't even, like, bat an eyelash or, like think. She was just like, no, of course I'm gonna message you and, like, make sure you're okay. And it's, like, you really learn who actually cares about you and who your friends are. And even who your family is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just... My grandpa did something that, oh my God, it's gonna make me cry. You know, my grandpa's, like, Catholic or whatever, and after it happened, like, thank you, he went to a monastery and, lit some candles for Chris. He didn't tell me. It just happened. And I think he said something to my mom. And although he didn't say anything about it ever directly to me, he does things like that, and it, like, means a lot. And you don't really think about it because it's like, well, who could be bothered, you know? Because here I am still, like, dealing with it almost 3 years later, and no one wants to fucking hear it. I feel like nobody wants to hear about it anymore. Nobody gives a shit. But I still talk about him all the time. I mention him in conversation. I've done it on the podcast. I'm comfortable with talking about him. Because a lot of people are afraid, like, to bring him up because they don't want to make me emotional.
But that's the problem is you should bring it up.
Yeah, that's avoidance. And avoidance does not help you get through it.
Yeah.
And, I will talk about him, like, when people bring him up and stuff. I don't like talking about the drug thing, though. I will say that. It makes me really uncomfortable because that's not how I knew him. You know, in Martyrvore, everybody knew him as Reaper and, oh, Reaper, this and whatever. And I never knew him as Reaper. I knew him as Chris, you know? And, like...
Well, I did, too, to a lesser degree.
Well, yeah. You know, he became part of our family. Like, I brought him with me to, like... I brought him around my family, like, for Christmas and holidays and things like that. And they all loved him. It just still fucking hurts, you know? It's like 3 years and I'm still dealing with things, you know? Because at some point I'm like, am I ever going to want to, like, find someone else? I don't know, like...
But here's the thing. You don't have to rush into anything. People have this whole stigma behind you have to be in a relationship to be happy, or you have to find someone, you don't want to be alone. But you don't have to do anything, you know?
I know.
You do it when you're ready and when the time is right.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Take it from someone who's been in a really bad relationship.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing I want to do right now.
I know.
You know?
I miss him so much, you know? And that's not how that's not how I ever saw him, honestly, as Reaper, you know? People are like, he was a fucking asshole, he was this, he was whatever, you know? People will fucking talk. They'll fucking talk about anything.
Sure.
But to me, he was, like, the most selfless, like, just, he'll give you the shirt off his back kind of person. And I know that's a little, like, a bit of a cliche, but it's literally happened. There were times where I'd spend weekends with him and I would forget clothes and he would literally give me his,
yeah.
You know? And, he touched a lot of lives. I remember after he passed, like, I don't think anyone said a bad thing about him to me. A lot of people were like, what the fuck about the drug thing, you know? But that's not how I see him, you know? And I don't think that's how a lot of people saw him.
Mm-hmm.
From what he told me, he came from like a really not good upbringing, and it stems out when you don't deal with it. So I understand why it happened. I just wish it hadn't.
And I know. It's awful, but things happen for a reason. That's what I always think. I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk about my perspective, but
No, please do.
I didn't really know him as well as you did, obviously, and I kind of kept distance because I was jealous, because I saw how happy you were, and I was like, why don't I feel like that, Like my own bitter shit. It's my own fault. But, so I never really, chose to get close, but one day I did, I opened myself up a little bit, and my God, well, you're not kidding. Like, he's like, he'll tell you stories for hours. Like, just,
oh yeah,
like, he remembered shit that I told him that I don't even remember telling him, but apparently I had. And he asked me questions that not even my ex at the time were asking me.
Mm-hmm.
It just, and like, I felt guilty for about a year after he passed for, being so distant and like not hanging out with you guys and all that sometimes. Just because I was jealous. So now I talk to him every day, I do.
Yeah, I still like, this might be a little strange, but like before I go to bed, I'll still just say it out loud. I'm like, I know he can hear me. I'll just say goodnight to him. It's just small things like that that make it easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm. I do. I actually do talk to him every day.
I have pictures of him. I have drawing I did of him, and I have a picture of him on my desk when I'm working. And every so often I'll catch myself looking at it, and I'm like, oh, look. Still feels like he's here with me.
Like, that whole situation sucks, not just because, well, obviously the circumstance of it happening sucked, and the way he went sucked, but as a sister, like, how do you fucking deal with that?
I know.
Like, whatever Megan was feeling, I was feeling it just as much, Because if for anyone who's a twin that happens to be listening to this, like, when your twin is upset, you feel that shit. So I was basically dealing with the grief right next to you, because I knew him too. And like,
I know, and that's why, like, I try not to talk about it sometimes, because it's like, because I'm fine with talking about it, but I don't know how other people are, like, I don't want to bring it up and then make them upset, and it's like,
but I feel like people would be okay with it if they see you're not upset.
Well, yeah. There's just still, like, some things that, like, haunt me, particularly at the funeral. I met his mom, and she gave me the necklace that he would always wear and never took off. They took it off his body when they did the autopsy, and she gave it to me in an evidence bag. And she goes, you might want to clean this off because it fucking reeks. That's what she told me at the funeral. And I'm like, okay. And, I worked as a mortician for how many years, and it's like, you know what that smell is, but when it's someone that you knew and loved, it's just so much worse.
Yeah.
And like, I remember vividly sitting in my backyard with like a bowl of like jewelry cleaner and like bleach and a toothbrush and scrubbing this thing. And then, in the evidence bag too, he had a nose ring and one nipple ring that he obviously didn't take off. And I got those too, and I have them. I kept them in a little box. And I remember just scrubbing the shit out of them. And like when I opened the bag, it was like the worst thing ever. And that's not how I choose to remember him, you know? And it was a closed casket funeral, and I'm very happy for that, because I don't think I could have handled seeing him that way.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone else that's curious, the guy he was buying the heroin from is he was in jail. I don't know if he's still there, but he got his fucking karma, so that's all I fucking care about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say names because I don't want to fucking start shit and fuck whatever. I don't really care to talk about it. I just want to be left alone by these people, honestly. And it's hard for me every year. It's right after Valentine's Day. If it was any other time, I think it would be just a little bit easier to deal with. But because it's like, we're going to remind you that not only are you alone, but everyone around you is happy.
Not everyone.
Well, not everyone. I shouldn't say that. I feel like this year I've seen more like I'm single and I don't give a fuck memes.
Me too, honestly.
More than anything.
Yeah.
But, oh, God, it's just... Talk about this stuff just makes your heart bleed out. And I'm glad I have people that I could talk to, like whenever, it's like you obviously too, but I have like other friends and stuff, like whenever I am feeling upset about it, like I can just, they let me talk about it openly and comfortably. And it's like, if you're one of those people and you're listening right now, like you don't know how much you mean to me because I've never really had that before in my life. And like, yeah, it was a loss, obviously. You know, it was a devastating loss for me. But I feel like what he left behind for me was just so many, like, incredible people and things and that I can take and bring with me through the rest of my life until, you know, it's my fucking time. And it's, if there was any kind of silver lining to this, that would be it. And I'm grateful for that, you know? So, yeah, it's, oh God,
You know,
nobody likes a sobbing bitch on the internet,
Yeah.
but you know what? We're fucking going there.
you know, we were going to take a break, but like, I feel like we should just keep going and just make this one long episode.
Well, I wanted to put in a song.
We could put them both in the end.
Okay. We can do that.
It feels a little more authentic.
Okay.
I think.
We could do that.
Let's just keep going.
Well, the somber shit aside, Lauren fucking...
Sorry, I hit my toe.
Man, I feel like I laughed with him more than like anyone else in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There were just some times where it was like all of us hanging out and like we were cackling.
Oh, just dying.
And he did too, honestly. You made him laugh.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you two like played off each other almost.
We did.
Just like,
I could get witty, but he did it like right back. And
Yeah.
It was, we were like belly laughing at some of the shit we were saying to each other.
One of the best though that we still always talk about is for the week of the 4th of July
In 2015.
in 2015, we rented our house in Narragansett, and
Our house, in quotes.
yeah, our house, and Chris came and stayed for like, he could only stay that weekend because he had to play a show that week and he couldn't stay the whole week. So it was him, me, and Lauren, and then Lauren's ex.
Well, he was staying for a week and a half, so he was there the whole week.
Yeah. unfortunately. And
You're telling me.
I don't know, we were just drinking, whatever, and we were playing Cards Against Humanity.
Oh my God.
And we have a pack. It's the 90s pack for anyone familiar with this game. And one of the cards is stabbing the shit out of a Capri Sun.
Uh-huh.
So Chris had to read that card. And the way I can't even imitate it for you.
Yeah.
But you have to trust me when I say, this could only be funny to me. Everyone could be like, whatever, Megan. Just the way he said it, we laughed. Because he was like...
it was my ex who literally could not get himself together.
Yeah.
Because he was laughing so hard.
But it was funny because, like... he was almost said it like a question, like stabbing the shit out of a Capri Sun, like he was doubting the card.
It's like, the fuck? We were just dying.
We were rolling around laughing.
Well, my ex especially. Like, how long did it? Like 25 minutes to get his shit together. I'm like, let's go. I want to finish the game.
Yeah.
And he could not stop laughing.
I
I'm
know.
like, oh my God.
I couldn't either. I was like already like how many beers deep, and I was like, I can't.
I was half laughing at my ex, and like the other half was laughing at the card.
Yeah.
So funny.
And like before that, was this the same day? Maybe it was the day before. We went to there's a place in Narragansett called Champlin's. And
oh yeah,
I love this place. Every time we go, I have to go there.
It's one of those like seafood restaurants that's right on the water. It's kind of dingy.
Yeah, it's like a little hole in the wall.
Yeah, the food is incredible. Like the best.
I love that place. And
I love places like that.
The line's like out the fucking door on the sidewalk.
Yeah, if you get there at 4 p.m. and there's a huge line and you're like, oh God.
We were there and oh no, well it was Lauren. Can we say his name? Your ex?
I'd rather not.
Okay, well Lauren's ex and Chris were they were talking they were talking about what's her name? Sandra Lee.
Oh my God.
You know, the cooking bitch or whatever.
Yeah. Semi-homemade with Sandra Lee.
Yeah. And they were talking about like how she's got like great tits or whatever because men are men.
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree, but I'm like serious. I'm like, this is not...
but then she got breast cancer.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not dinner conversation. So Laura and I were well, it's not really funny, but we kind of made a joke about like, oh, she has breast cancer, and she always does like the themed everything, and like she's gonna have like a cancer tablescape. And it's like everyone's gonna drink out of like like the little IV bags.
Yeah,
and like.
And just have like syringes full like of like whatever, like jelly that you poke into a donut.
Yeah, the napkins are like X-ray paper sheets or whatever. And just like, so Laura and I were going on about that, and those two were cackling.
Oh, because we had a whole pitcher of sangria too.
Oh yeah.
So we were just drinking and laughing.
We laughed so loud we were bothering everyone around us.
It was loud in there, and we were laughing over everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was like
loud.
So like that's how I remember it, you know? Just
Yeah.
like us just like hanging out and like throwing jokes and just laughing. And
oh my God.
like the 4th of July I got when we actually came back on the 4th.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that full week. And
well, no, the full week ended on the 4th.
Yeah.
So it sucks.
We came back and then I got inebriated.
Well, we were drinking pretty much the whole day.
Yeah. I quit drinking a few years ago, but like I've never really been like a big drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And I got so shit-faced that day because I'm like, fuck it, it's the 4th. Chris brought like 7 cases of beer.
Yeah, he showed up with because my mom invited a family over too.
Yeah.
So it was like my uncle who's a priest, and my aunts who are nuns, and like my grandpa and like my cousins, you know, like everyone, of course. And Chris shows up with like 2 cases of beer.
You can't even see him over the beer. He was just like a case of beer with legs.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
And he walked right by my uncle with that.
Yeah, he was like, all right, I'm going to go put this in the basement. I'm like, okay. It's like, oh my God. I just remember the look on my uncle's face because I don't get along with my uncle, and it was priceless. I'm like, huh.
So funny.
And oh, we were just so shit-faced, like, in the yard, fucking lighting off sparklers and stuff.
Oh, yeah, because my ex, who, you know, lives on the opposite side of the country, it's illegal for them to have fireworks.
Yeah.
So we went to CVS and they had like the $2 like whatever.
You know, the ones that just kind of go, poof.
Yeah, they kind of just fart up.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, oh, like, I gotta get some of these because we can't buy this shit and blah, blah. I'm like, all right. So we got like 3. We didn't have like a proper lighter, so we had to use this fucking like cigarette lighter.
Oh my God.
And like try and light these. And it just, I have a short video of one of them.
That just gets stuck in the trees and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of farted,
Yeah.
you know? It really didn't do much. But,
oh man, I know. Those are like, we still like every year we think about that and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, do you remember that time?
oh, but that was such a, because we were outside for hours.
Yeah.
Just drinking and listening to music and just laughing. And,
Yeah.
oh, we had a good time.
Of course, Chris had to play all the music because
Yeah.
that's what he did. And I don't even remember. I think we listened to like Flotsam and Jetsam at one point and like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I couldn't even I don't remember. I was so
I
drunk.
honestly don't remember either. I only had half the alcohol you had, and I don't even remember.
I just remember stumbling in the house and grabbing a bag of chips.
Yeah, you ate everything. When
sorry.
Megan gets really drunk, she eats everything.
I don't know. It's like I'm a fucking black hole.
Yeah.
So like
Like you figured, you know, you do that if you were high, but drunk?
well,
Oh my
both.
God.
Get drunk munchies.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lauren and her ex like took like a ton of pictures of me, just like
Well, no, that was him. It took a lot of pictures of you.
capturing the shame.
Yep. And then we showed you the next day, and you're like, oh, please delete these.
I know, I'm wearing like Chris's sunglasses. It's like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I'm wearing sunglasses. My hair is like in 7 different directions. I'm like, what is happening?
I know.
So those are good times.
Yep.
And like, you know, we had other times too, just like watching Mystery Science Theater and like, you know, you watched with us too
Yeah.
sometimes because that's one of the first things Chris and I bonded over when we met. And we were trying to get Lauren into it too. It's like, come watch this with us.
Yeah.
And we would just watch like the final sacrifice and stuff like that because it's the best one.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Hold on.
Do you have a hair?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hold on. I had a hair in my mouth. I don't care who you are. That episode's the fucking best.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what I drew him for Valentine's Day. Was
I'm so sorry.
Lauren. I drew him the scene from the final sacrifice where it's like, I wonder if there's beer on the sun.
Yeah.
You know? And
Is this your foot?
that's my foot. And yeah, so like that's how I remember him, and he just made like all kinds of jokes and just stupid things. He was like, he loved to like not get a rise out of people, but just like he would just poke me and like tickle me and stuff like that just to get like a reaction out of me. And I'm just like, seriously? Some days I'm like, okay, it's enough. But like most of the time I would just fucking cackle. So that's how I remember him, you know, and he was very he was gentle with me too. Because, you know, I don't know if you've ever been, well, you have. This kind of relationship where people just don't really have any regard for your emotions.
Yep.
And, like, I would have days where it's like, I just wanted to be left alone. I would have days where it's like, I needed someone, you know? And he was always, like, very respectful of that, too. Because Laura and I both have, do you mind if I say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a hormone condition that causes mood swings, especially around, like, our period. Mm-hmm. So, like,
it's bad.
Chris could count it down to the minute. He knew, he knew it better than I did. He would be like, okay, Megan, you're on your period. Like, it's okay. And he would never get mad at me for it. He would always just be patient. You know, he would just, if anything, he would just be like, all right, come back to me when you're feeling better. Mm-hmm. And
the difference between a healthy relationship versus a shitty one is when I would go through that with my ex, he just got fucking angry at me. He didn't give a shit. He's like, well, I'm dealing with my own things. You need to, like, get it the fuck together, like, type of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, literally just told me that to my face. And I'm like, you know what?
Well, he could suck a dick.
Yeah, I deserve better than that.
Chris didn't like him anyway.
Yeah.
He was nice to him because he cared about you, but he didn't like him. So,
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah. And that's how I choose to remember him, you know? And he was a great guitar player. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
You'll hear we're going to play a couple songs at the end of his.
Yeah.
Although he did vocals for Martyrvore, I'm going to put in a Festered song too. He did all the guitar stuff on that album, and the one album they did. Now they're never going to put out another one. He was a great guitar player. I remember like I was up staying at his place one weekend, and he just like, my favorite song is Where Dead Angels Lie from Dissection, and he played it for me. Just like I don't even know, I think it was on my phone. I wasn't even really paying attention, and then he started playing it, and I'm like, I know that riff, and I'm like, oh. I was like so happy because he was just sitting there kind of like just whatever, like fucking around with his guitar, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know that riff, and I'm like, oh, that was very sweet of him. He played it for me. So, you know, just like nice things like that I choose to remember over, you know, the terror that led up to, you know, his death. And I will say though, as the years go on, it gets a little bit easier each time. I don't think it'll ever like go away, but like
I can't even tell you how different you are from 2 years ago.
I know.
3 years ago now.
I had to really take some time for myself because this isn't something that I could have just like pushed down and just moved on from.
But you know what? Maybe like other people who weren't as attached to their significant other, if the same thing happened, could get over it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a race to see how much better I'm going to be after this or whatever.
Yeah. And that's the thing too that a lot of people don't understand. We all know the 5 stages of grief, you know?
Yeah.
We're taught it in, you know, psychology classes and things like that. And it honestly, it's just a guideline, you know? And all those things don't happen sequentially at the same time, you know? One could happen first over the other one and things like that.
Right.
And they all have an indefinite amount of time that they last, you know? That's what people don't realize. Like, you don't feel that it's not like a sickness, you know? Like if you get a cold, you know, or like a virus, it's gone in like 48 hours and you just take some fucking penicillin and then you're fine. Not penicillin, some Tylenol and then you're fine. But but this is different.
Yeah.
This is an emotional thing. It's not a physiological thing. It can affect you physiologically, but it's not solely physiological. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And I've seen so many people act so many different ways just from like being around a lot of grieving people for a while. Like I've seen people who would just laugh, people that don't do anything, people that act like everything's fine, some people who are just crippled and just violently ill, and everyone reacts differently. We don't all act the same way to grief. So if anyone ever tries to tell you that you should be over it by now, it's, you know, why you shouldn't be feeling
fuck
sad.
Those people.
You know, fuck them. You know, mercifully, I did not have anyone say anything like that to me. You know,
Good, because they said it to me.
are you serious?
Yeah. You can only guess who the fuck.
Oh, well, fuck him. He's not even human.
Yeah.
But
Because, oh, well, it took me this long to get over my aunt passing, so it should take Megan this long to get over her boyfriend passing. And it's like, you don't know shit about grieving.
yeah, he doesn't know shit worth
Dumb
fuck
fuck.
about anything.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me at all. But, you know.
Yeah, because I'm keeping his identity totally just not, you know, just anonymous.
Yeah.
Because even like saying his name or giving him any kind of platform is just sickening to me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and that's the thing I had to realize too, because I was even like, oh my God, why am I still feeling like this? You know, because it was a devastating loss. Like I was in love with him. Like, we wanted to get married. Like, that's how deep it was. And a lot of people don't believe that because he had never like been like that until like he met me. And this is what he told me. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal at all. I'm literally just reiterating what he told me. he had never felt that way until he met me. And it was like, yeah, it was a devastating loss. I'm still dealing with it in some small ways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, like, grief makes you, like, all these things that you've suppressed come to the surface, basically. It pulls it out of you. So I had to deal with emotional things and even physical things about myself that, like, had been holding me back for a while. And now I feel great, you know?
Yeah.
Now I feel wonderful for the most part, you know, because I still have every so often I'll get, like, panic attacks or I'll just get really sad or whatever.
But it's not even to the degree of what it was before.
Yeah. If before I was, like, at the base of Mount Rushmore, now I'm kind of, like, on Lincoln's nose or whoever's, George Washington's nose. Who's on Mount Rushmore? Jesus Christ, I sound so fucking dumb when I say that. But I'm on someone's nose right now. So I'm not quite at the top, but I'm way the fuck up there. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's just all how you deal with things, man. Some people, that's why I quit drinking, because I'm like, if I were to continue drinking, I probably wouldn't have been able to stop because I know how I am. So I said, I'm not going to drink anymore. I don't drink caffeine. Nothing. I got rid of all my vices. I recently just stopped eating sugar, which is huge because that's like my biggest vice. And I got rid of all my vices and I feel a lot better because of it. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so I'm still dealing with it, but you know what? It took me how long? Some people never get over things like this. And I don't think I'll ever be over it, so to speak, but I definitely will be able to pick myself up and move forward in life.
And listen, you don't have to be over anything. Our grandmother died over 20 years ago, still not over it.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
Like, you don't have to put a time limit on death or grievance or anything like that.
I miss her.
I miss my grandmother so much.
I know.
She was 5 when you passed away, so, and we're going to be 27.
We were 5. She was not 5.
Did I say she was 5?
Yeah.
No, she was like 57 or something. She was almost 60. She died of cancer.
Yeah, she was a smoker, so.
Mm-hmm. Don't smoke. Please, don't do it.
Cigarettes, that is.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't smoke anything except weed.
Yeah.
Because that shit's fine.
Yeah.
Weed doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
Anything, it helps you more.
Yeah.
But
it's funny, like, too, how since it happened, I seem like I've met other people who had also gone through the same thing, particularly women.
Yeah.
And one guy, but particularly women. And they all kind of like say the same thing that I say. It's like, yeah, I could love again, probably, but it will never be what I had with this person, you know? And
right.
I just, if I were to find someone, I would just want them to understand that, you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going to treat you any less. That doesn't mean I'm going to, you know, whatever. Like, I'm not going to fucking give you the time of day and whatever. Yeah. It just means...
It's some people will understand and some people won't.
Yeah. The only people that really seem to understand are the people that went through it. So,
mm-hmm.
But...
Well... Yes, but there's probably still some people that'll understand.
Well,
anyways.
yeah, obviously.
But
so,
well, we're coming on an hour.
Oh my goodness.
So
okay. Well, thank you for letting me do this.
Yes, I wanted to do this too. So
well, thank you, because I feel a lot better just getting that out there. I don't think I've ever publicly talked about this before, like to this degree.
Yeah.
Just in private. So I'm putting it out there. If you have any questions about it, just whatever, get in touch with me. Our email's thegeminiarchives@gmail.com. Or just if you follow us on Instagram or...
Yeah, everything's still linked.
Or Twitter.
In the description of the podcast.
Yeah, I'm very easy to get in touch with.
Yeah.
So it might take me a while to respond because sometimes I'm like doing shit, but I'm easy to get in touch with. So
yeah, me too. If you want to ask me anything too, about my shitty ex, I'll tell you about it.
Or about our taste in Capri Sun.
Yeah. Well, listen, Capri Sun was like childhood for me.
Well, yeah, me too. So
yeah.
Thank you for anyone that listened to this.
If we don't usually promote the podcast and say, share this with everyone. But if we're going to tell you to share an episode, this would be the one to share. Because maybe you know someone who's gone through something similar, whether it's with a boyfriend or a husband or whoever.
Or if you knew Chris personally.
Yeah.
You know, I hope you listen, you know?
Yeah.
And remember him as fondly as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because he touched a lot of lives. You know, he really, like, when he passed, I had people coming out of the woodwork, people that I didn't even know he knew, messaging me.
Mm-hmm.
And
people in popular bands messaging you.
I got a message from Eric Rutan.
Yeah.
From Hate Eternal and Morbid Angel. He messaged me and asked me about it and, like, sent me condolences and stuff. And I was like, Chris, his favorite metal, one of his favorite bands is Morbid Angel, death metal band, I should say.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is huge.
And it just goes to show you, moral of this story.
Yeah.
Well, not story, but circumstance. If Eric Rutan can reach out to you and send condolences, but your friend of 5 years doesn't say shit, get new friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the moral of this story.
Yeah. If your friends couldn't be bothered to give you the time of day, but someone that I barely know took the time to talk to me, that says a lot.
Yeah.
So
take that lesson and just put it in your left pocket.
Yeah.
You know? Save that.
I had a guy, Jeff Quigley is his name. He does a lot of the artwork for Kevin Smith's t-shirts and stuff. And, like, he did, I think, the Comic Book Men intro and stuff like that. I follow him on Instagram, and he messaged me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Quigley. I was like, someone 1 degree away from Kevin Smith.
Same with Brian O'Halloran.
And Brian O'Halloran, too.
I hope he listens to this podcast. Brian, come on the podcast.
Brian, we would love to have you.
I have so many questions about filming Clerks. So many.
Okay, this isn't the place to do that.
Yeah,
but
I'm
anyway.
sorry.
Okay. Anyway. But, you know, it's like, it's astounding to me, like, how compassion works.
Yeah.
Because there are some people who truly do not possess it.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are some people who
don't know how to live without it.
Yeah. Like me. I'm that way.
Me too.
Every time I see, like, a GoFundMe thing and it's a friend, I'm like, I have to.
I recently just gave money to Wednesday 13 because his nephew needs it for chemo because he has colon cancer.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't just walk by it. Like, I, like, gave him money for it, like $40 worth of money. And, like, here, take my money.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, and it's like, when after the funeral, we needed money for the headstone for Chris, and I was stunned at all the people who claimed to love him and he's like a brother to me, blah blah blah, like couldn't even be bothered to give us like $5 for the headstone. Not that I was expecting anything, but if you love someone like a brother, wouldn't
then don't say that because you don't.
Wouldn't you, like, give a little bit of something?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, I mean, we still met it, but it's like, it was people that I barely see and know that gave us money. And I if you were one of those people, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, because of that, we were able to get him, like, a really nice headstone, and they etched in the drawing I did of him into the head. It's like my drawing is with him forever. So thank you, whoever.
We could put up a picture of it when we put this episode up.
I'll put up a picture and pictures of him too.
Yeah.
He was a looker. He was great. He was adorable. So I'm gonna play a couple songs.
Yeah.
And you can hear, like, the first one was him singing, but the second one is gonna be him playing guitar. So very very multifaceted, talented human.
Yeah. I know this is a little unorthodox for our episode layout.
Yeah.
Just because, like, we could have put it in the middle, but, like, I feel like it's a little more, you know, I just wanted to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
You know, not interrupt it with the song, and then we have to bring it back.
Yeah.
And bring everyone back in.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I think we're going to end it here.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better talking about that. And
I could tell.
yeah. Because I don't really talk about this. Sometimes it sits in the back of my mind, but I don't really like verbalize it. So
Another thing you could take away from this episode, talk to people.
Yeah.
Talk
to someone.
Yeah.
Like,
whether it's,
your cat or like
your cat, a friend, a family member,
a homeless person.
call the suicide hotline. They'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Whatever. Even if you're not suicidal, just do it. Talk to someone.
Just talk to someone. Be like, I'm in a state right now, and I just need to talk to someone.
Yeah. In person,
Yeah.
Not just texting, because that's a little disingenuous.
Yeah. Like, have a phone conversation.
Yeah. Verbally talk it out.
Yeah. And you'll feel a lot better, because I feel better just getting it out verbally.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. On that
All
note,
right.
we're gonna end this. I'm gonna play. I don't know what Martyrvore song I'm gonna put in. You'll see it, but I'm gonna put in Inferno, Bloody Revenge from Festered. A family favorite, a classic. Because I love that song. And thank you everyone for listening. And I love you, Chris, and I miss you.
I also love and miss you, Chris.
And yeah. Wow, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah. I know.
So, because this isn't what I intended the podcast to be, but we kind of did.
Yeah.
Because it's like I wanted to use it as a platform to just like get out things sometimes and honor people, things like that. Tell stories, I'm just glad I got to do it for someone that means everything to me. So,
yeah.
So, thank you. We're, all right. I'm going to end it here. We're going to put in a few songs. I hope you enjoy them.
Tune in next week for something a little more uplifting.
Yeah. I know. Sorry for the long string of heavy episodes lately, but you know what? It's
just how we've been feeling.
Yeah.
So
it's the winter. We're all sad.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, obviously, this is different circumstances.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. But okay, everyone. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.